Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Conscious Heart Solutions. My name is Ida Farhat, and I'd like to introduce my guest, Miss Claudia Lakatos. Welcome,
Yes, hello.
Claudia. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I know this is short
Pleasure being
notice,
here.
and I'm super excited to engage in this way and to have a fabulous discussion on the Lionsgate portal and what that means, the energies, right, that's coming in to be supportive for all of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to share a short bio of Claudia, and then I will ask you to please elaborate and share with us, the audience. There's going to be viewers at some point that are going to be very curious about you, as I have been for a few years now, wanting to know more about you and who you are and what you hold close to your heart, what you value. So Claudia Lakatos. Claudia had her initial awakening in 2011. The birth of her daughter was the catalyst that ignited her spiritual awakening. Claudia lives in Canada, where she offers a service that is focused on emotional healing and spiritual development. So, considering this was a short notice, and I appreciate you taking the time and being willing to come and collaborate with me, that is a short bio, but you surely have plenty of time to elaborate and share with us who you are and, you know, your services and what that meant, having a spiritual awakening and having your child, and you know, what awareness did you start or things start happening that caused you to question. Yeah, so please go ahead.
Question reality itself,
Oh,
right?
that's right.
Almost feels like, yes, yes. Well, 2011, I mean, that was a period in my life where it completely changed who I thought I was. Becoming a mom was the ultimate turning point in my life that created this just heart opening. It's almost like my heart broke open. And it was the first time that I truly was aware of what pure love felt like. And yes, yes, it was the most deepest, profound feeling of overwhelming emotion that came over me. And there was a point where I didn't really know how to handle that. And I really had to go within and just ask myself, okay, this love you have never felt before, just the intensity of this pure love, and just feeling that responsibility of, you know, being that primary caregiver for innocent, pure soul that just came into life. You know, a new mom, and just the whole experience of questioning life itself and the miraculous ways of birthing life and going through that experience. It was profound, and that's where my journey really began, and in understanding myself better and who I was becoming. Now a mom, and I wasn't just Claudia anymore. And that catapulted me. Yes,
That
yes,
just hit me when you just said that. Not just Claudia anymore, like a mom. Like,
yes.
yeah.
And what did that mean for me?
Right.
And how I had to reinvent myself, and really just understanding, okay, so what does this mean now? You know, it's about adding that aspect of yourself and really just trying to understand who it is that I'm becoming and who it is that I truly wish to be. So it was so many questions coming up, and making sure, and you know, the whole paranoid new mother ways of not knowing and not being as aware, as obviously as time goes on, she's 10 now. So it's a whole decade that have gone by, and you know, I've come a long way. But it's about finding those answers and going through the layers in the process of who you're becoming, and learning from the things that, you know, you can do better because you know better.
Sure.
And just being aware, yes, and just the process in itself was a lengthy one, but it's about taking the, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you say you had your awakening in 2011. So you're saying that having your child is what, was there anything that you experienced that you knew that there was maybe
Yes.
something that was igniting within you that was saying, hey, wait a minute, I need to have a look at my life in a much deeper way? I mean, I understand definitely a child will change that for you, but I'm what I'm referring, because there are mothers that have children that don't have
Of course.
that kind of aha
Yes.
awakening. Let me, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
inquire within my own being of what this means to be.
Yes. So I think what really made it so intense is because my labor was actually 3 days long, and it was very complicated. And yes, and I had to surrender control. And that was one of the hardest things for me to do, because most of my life I felt the need to be in control. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, because we feel that when we are in control, that things will more than likely go according to the way we plan it. But as we all come to know and realize, is the more we try to control things, usually it goes even worse than according to plan. And
Well,
this was a big
can I
part of it.
interrupt just for a quick second? And this may be a little, I don't know if the word caveat is a proper word for it, but Claudia is a Leo sun, and so am I. We are only a few days different,
Apart, yeah.
yeah, apart, and although several years, but that's okay too. I honor you. Just yes. So being a Leo, I mean, we definitely are very strong-headed, strong-minded, you know, and we want things to be a certain way, and we can call that control, or we could say managing our lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. You're right. You're absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side of that, it doesn't, you know, no matter how much we try to control any given circumstance in our life, we can only put our energy for the highest and best outcome to take place. But it doesn't always, you know, there's always a bigger perspective or universal, you know, there's always something else happening that maybe we're not always privy to. And then we say, had it turned out the way I wanted it, I wouldn't be having this experience now. And I'm very grateful and thankful for that. But please go ahead.
I know,
absolutely. Yeah. But I really just wanted to, you know, bring up the fact that we are Leos, and it's Lionsgate portal today, which is what this conversation is based around. But okay, I appreciate your patience. Please continue.
No, absolutely. And you know, everything is connected in one way or another. So it's about getting through that process of trying to maintain and be responsible and manage, or in other words, control certain things, and learning that when to know when to just release and surrender that control. When to know when to let go, and trust in what needs to be trusted in at that time, right? So that was a big process too, of really getting to know myself and learning when to just release the reins, you know, and allowing help, right? So, you know, it could be definitely a Leo trait, but I think many people have this trait, and becoming aware of this trait allows us to really become more open and in tune to finding the right way to do things without trying to predict the outcome, and just kind of going with the flow of things, to allow us to get into more in alignment. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, I get it. Yes. Okay, so listening and thinking as you're talking, because I really try to just be, you know, I'm practicing absolute in the now, present moment, right? Without getting too far ahead of how I'm going to respond to you, or thinking too far in my what we would call our distant past or our recent past, if we understand everything is happening in the here and now, it's in the mind that we travel to, because we reflect on other experiences where we felt we didn't have control. Mm-hmm. And that can be uncomfortable because feeling that we have control gives us a false sense of security and safety, and I got this. And I'm not saying to just throw things caution to the wind and not be, plan for things or use critical thinking and think for yourself. But you said it, and I think it's very important to emphasize, is surrender. Surrender. And that's a hard thing. Yes, you're right. So it's a challenging for Leos, definitely, but it is definitely challenging for, and especially anybody that's really coming onto the path of enlightenment. And listen, I'm not one of these people that say, oh, you haven't had your awakening, so no, we're all on different journeys, and everything is spiritual because there can be nothing else. So let's just get that clear for everybody that's listening. Everything is spirit. Everything is conscious. Everything is alive. Everything is in the happening. Always. Life is always changed. And there's never, it's always, life is always change. We can loop. We can continue to go back into, the same lessons, maybe different people, different circumstance, 10 years later, if we haven't learned what we're here to learn. But again, please go ahead, continue, because I don't,
Exactly. So surrender. So getting to the place of surrender. And I was thinking about this Lionsgate because I was tapping into the collective. So there's a reason why this whole, surrender and learning to when to, give up the reins on the control, because I find that a lot of people are trying to control things that perhaps maybe they shouldn't be. So there's a reason why it's coming up. And it has to do also with truth and integrity. So this Lionsgate portal is really about bringing truth and integrity into light.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm so pleased to hear that. Absolutely. Yes. Okay, let's first get clear so people don't think, oh, this, when I upload this video, they're going to see Lionsgate portal discussion, and they're going to maybe think that we're going to be talking about pyramids and Cyrus and so forth. And that's very important. It is part of the experience of going through this Lionsgate portal and the connection with the star systems and the planetary alignment and so forth. That all is very important, and I will not claim to be an expert on that, although I can feel into and know, there's something happening here. I just haven't, I'm not an astrologer. I would love to learn more, but I just haven't made that a priority right
It'll
now.
come.
Yeah. So what exactly does that mean for you? Just so we could be clear for the listeners when they listen, what does that mean?
For me, what I've been feeling is the longing to speak our truth, the desire to be understood, aligning our mind, body, and our hearts. I feel that so many desire to express what they feel, but yet have a hard time in being able to do so. And I asked myself the question, why is that? And the feeling that I got is that the opportunities are not there. And when the opportunities do come, we need to be able to step up so that we can release those suppressed emotions so that we can become more lighter and be able to move forward, right? So I made some notes here that many are and will be experiencing heart openings. This Lionsgate portal, I'm feeling that many people's heart chakras are expanding and opening. And this is going to bring forth a whole new shift of relationships, of manifestations, of understandings, and more pure conscious love being created and almost reborn in a sense. So people are waking up to the connections that they so desire, especially with what's happened this past almost year and a half. A lot of people are really choosing to understand and see just how important connection is. And many will be prioritizing from a heart-centered place.
Yes. I think that's important, that what you just said. You know, you and I, so Claudia and I were talking a little bit prior to coming onto the show about some of the challenges with our families, right? And having a relationship with family and being able to speak our truth and to be able to feel a connection. It's important to me. You know, people say, well, you got to learn, you know, to be independent, not to expect anything from anybody. No, I don't expect, but to have reciprocal relationships are important. To have support is important. Okay, so if there's any, and I don't care what spiritual teacher, guru, we need connection, people. It's part of our nature as divine beings. Okay, if we think that out in the universal, you know, motherland, if you will, or universal God mind, or whatever you want to call your conscious soup of reality, be it, you know, in our dream state here in the 3D, our 4D experience, 5D. The point is connection is needed and necessary. You know, there's studies that have been done on a child that does not receive love and support and safety and kindness. Well, we know that, especially those that have had, you know, gone through some traumatic experiences growing up. There's a big difference in the development of a child that does have support and comes from a loving family and so forth, than that which a child that doesn't have that. There's, you know, they grow up with maybe some mental health issues, emotional issues, one of which you assist people in their emotional development and spiritual development. Yes. So my point in saying it is like, you know, and then you can have that amazing child that grew up in a crazy family and they grow up to be the most loving, kind, compassionate person, or somebody that grew up with everything and everything given to them and they are not, you know. So I think a lot is at play in that, depending on our health and the way we eat, everything we consume, including TV, music, books, right? Whatever we bring into our consciousness, because we're always being, you know, information is being projected at us constantly. So, but yes, connection's so needed.
It is.
And to create those kinds of loving, heartfelt relationships. But, you know, we seek it outside of ourselves. And I'll say for myself, it's not so much that I'm seeking it outside of myself, but I feel that I do my best to walk in that beingness of being loved, being kind, being respectful, being considerate of others, being that I definitely want that reciprocated back to me. I that is my wish, right? And I am learning, I'm getting better, I'm not perfect in it, and how to respond rather than react when things aren't going the way I planned them, right?
Yes.
I can be spiritually mature, emotionally mature, and and not feel like I can't speak up for myself. That's been a huge thing for me. I struggle with that, Claudia, especially with family. Like saying, hey, wait a minute. No, that's not okay. Why do you think that's okay? Whatever it is, I could get into it, but I won't. Anyways,
Yes.
please, my lady, go on.
And you know, and I think in one sense or another, I think we've all been there, especially with family, right? Because family is what means the most. It's the closest thing to us that can create that, you know, trigger, right? And I think that, you know, becoming aware of our triggers, you know, is where the healing takes place. And you know, we're healing, and the healing journey is endless, and it's really is in different layers. And if I can add to that with regards to, you know, attracting the connections that are pure heart centered, you know,
That's
authentic
right.
connection,
Right.
right? This is what this is really about. And this Lying Gates portal is about everybody bringing out their own authenticity to be able to create those authentic and heartfelt connections, and really about surrounding ourselves with the individuals that really do bring out the best in us,
Right.
right? Bring out the best in us, and we do the same for others, and really, you know, being that change we wish to see, and being, you know, what we do wish to see, right? Because that's the beautiful reciprocative energy. And you know, because you'll go where the flow of love is, because you're being it, and it'll just fall into place. That's what I've been practicing. And you know, I've seen a huge difference with what I'm attracting and the people I'm meeting, and really that change within myself, and really tuning in and trusting myself, and learning to discern, you know, between what feels authentic and what does not, and really using that intuitive muscle. The more we use it, I always say, the more we use our intuition, it's like a muscle, the stronger it gets.
Mhm.
And just really tuning into ourselves and trusting ourselves, because that's going to help us on our path to be able to make the right choices, because at the end of the day, life is all about choices.
I agree. I'm listening, and I'm staying right here in this moment. I mean, I
Oh,
really could go, you know. So,
yes,
so let me ask you. So, are you raising your child, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, are you
I am. Yes, yes, I am. Yes.
okay? But I'm
Yes.
saying, are you like teaching? I mean, she's now, so, so you had your awakening in 2011, right?
Yes.
That's when your child was born. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
you're such a beautiful
Yes.
mama. You are.
Thank
You
you.
are, Claudia. You know, Claudia and I have only just recently uh, becoming more acquainted with one another, and I feel your energy. I feel the love that you be. I feel it, and I appreciate that, because I really do want those relationships in my life. I'm not interested in superficial, you know, unauthentic, say one thing but doing a whole nother. And I'll be the first one to, there are people that, maybe it's cowardly. I don't know what the word, because most people that know me know that I would speak my mind and have no problem. But if it's somebody that I have an emotional attachment to, or family, it's hard for me to speak up for myself. It's hard. I end up holding in all this stuff and never feeling safe to say, hey, wait a minute, that's not okay with me. I don't appreciate it. It doesn't feel good. So why I was asking you, are you raising your daughter to know how to speak up for herself? How to, yes, how to honor and respect herself wholly, right? And and to be respectful of other children, and not, kids can be something, but I know that there are the planet's being blessed with these indigo children, crystal children,
Mhm.
you know,
Gifted children. Yes.
yeah. all these amazing, you know, I don't really like to put labels of anything, but these highly conscious, activated beings that are coming in that we call children, that will be teaching us many things, and some are already. How is it, if you don't mind, maybe for mothers, single mothers or parents out there that are raising their children and really don't know, you know, what might be too much or too little of how to help their child navigate through coming up and, you know, into from their being a small child into, please go ahead.
So conscious parenting.
Right.
And right. So as I became a mother, I really didn't understand. I wasn't really awake or aware of consciousness and what is conscious parenting and being in the present moment. You know, either I was always focusing on the future, right? Being anxious, focusing on the future or the past. Did I do enough? Or, you know, was I good enough of a mom, right? Really learning how to become in the present moment, right? And that's connected to integrity. So being so that the child can see, because children really are monkey see, monkey do, not necessarily what you say, they'll listen to every word, right? So I really had to understand also and adjust to my daughter's personality as well and really get to know her as an individual. So this was a learning process for me, not only just becoming a first time mom, but also, you know, really trying to understand her and her needs. You know, it's a whole process in itself, but I've learned the importance of our words.
Well, absolutely. I mean, our words are, we're casting spells with everything we say, and we can either be a life giver or a life taker. I mean, the Bible, not that I referred to it a whole lot, it is, you know, there is a great deal of teaching that I would say is worth noting, but I don't give it my, you know, I don't practice religion. I live a spiritual life, and I have a connection with my higher self, with the source, the universal source consciousness, love, pure love. But we can use our tongue, and where it says in the Bible, a two-edged sword, right? So we can, and it's so important. And the truth of the matter is we are moving into a time where telepathy is a real happening. And there will be a time when we all will be able to read each other's thoughts or use telepathy. I mean, people are doing it now. But I know when I had my awakening, I was using telepathy. And so I know that it's definitely a real thing. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's going to be real important to walk in integrity and truth, and right? Because otherwise, you won't be able to hide behind what you're presenting. People are going to know what you're really about by the energy you project, your thoughts, because if, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The words you choose to speak.
The words you choose to speak, right. The gesture, the kindness, the I mean, the authentic, you know. Because if you're thinking one thing and you're you know, you're struggling on the inside, but you're presenting yourself to be and I will admit, like, I have to put myself in check, because I know in my heart of hearts I don't want to do harm or be unkind or any of that, but I have challenges where I'm like, where is this kind of, you know, our shadow self,
right
the aspects of ourself that, but then there's some stuff that I just downright do not accept. That's your shadow showing. No, these are thoughts that I don't believe are mine, and I don't know where they're coming from, but I don't accept them. I do not consent, and I send them back to the light or to the universe or for healing, or where you come from. Yours go back, whatever it is I say or do, but I will clear my field quickly and remove those thoughts, because you can walk around your whole life battling these thoughts, right? Or you can learn how to take your power back and learn how to communicate
Yes, and control and control your thoughts versus your thoughts controlling you.
That, well, you just said it. There you are. That's really what I was
Right.
trying to say, and I went all around the
Yes,
block.
that's okay, and that's
Right.
okay. And part of Lionsgate is, like I said, there's activations happening with our throat chakra area. So the expression, like we know what we want to express, but sometimes it doesn't come out exactly the way we need to. But we're warming up, and we're warming up to the ability to express. So we're good. It's all about the energies right now and really focusing our intention behind our words. So I really emphasize, not only for my daughter, but for everyone that I talk to, is that make sure that when we speak our words, not only the power that, holds behind the words, but also to stay true to our word. When we make a promise, that we uphold that promise. We stay true to not only ourselves, but this is also connected to integrity, which builds character.
Absolutely.
So this is what I preach to, especially to my daughter, is your word is a part of who makes you a part of your character, right? To be able, because our word is it really is our bonds. That saying, your word is your bond.
Yeah.
To be able to be reliable with your word.
I live quite an auspicious life, Claudia, and I don't really talk too much about, it's just not needed. It's, it's not who I am. But I just remember not being very responsible and I did the best I could to live up to, if I said I was going to do something, do it, but now it's me. I value that integrity in a whole different way now. And I, I do hold people accountable. When you say you're going to do something, I looked at, it's not an expectation, it's an agreement that we agree we're going, and I understand life shows up, things happen, but communicating, saying, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. Can we reschedule, or something's come up, and But if you have friends or family that do that often, you have to say, okay, yeah. And that's an important thing. We need to be able to walk away and let go. That's a huge lesson for me right now. I shared this, I'm at the point where I know what I bring to the table. I know the love that I am, the love that I be. Okay, we don't even have to use the word love because everybody's love language is different. I get it. But just some simple consideration and respect and honoring one another. And some people just don't. So it's like, why should I value you more than you value me? Like, why should I give that and value you in a way that I don't get back, is my point. I don't want to do that anymore.
I've come up with a value system.
Oh, okay. Please do share. Yes.
I offer my 100%. What really, like, offer the offering, right? If someone's only giving me 50% of their efforts, then I'm going to reciprocate the same efforts. I've learned that because I've always given more. See, this is where, there's the giver's energy, and everything's connected to our childhood, our beliefs, a part of who we are, how we express our love language, right? Some people are more able to give, some are not, and there's no judgment here. It's just a matter of becoming aware of who you are and how your love language is, and what it is that fills you up, and what you're able to give from that cup that you've filled up for yourself. Right? Learning how to fill your own cup up first so that it's overflowing and you're able to give, versus your cup's empty and depleted and you're still trying to give to others, right? So really learning about healthy boundaries for yourself and with others as well. This is where the self-love comes into play, right? Yeah. Teaching our children and ourselves about self-love and healthy boundaries and what respect looks like in our everyday lives, which is a big part of love. and staying true to her word. And, you know, that's a big one, because that really does build character. And people will remember you by that, by you know, sticking to your word, and people will respect that. And it's integrity. It's living with integrity. I truly feel that, and I've learned that, how important it is to do our best, really, and, you know, to try and keep our word. And yes, life happens, of course, but that, like you said, communication, learning how to become a good communicator, and learning how to be a good listener too, to understand versus just to respond, right? And that's how we build our relationships and our bonds and the connections that we so desire.
You've got me. I'm thinking a lot of things right now, and I'm trying to stay present because I'm getting better in my communication, and there are a lot of things, a lot of people that I feel would do me well to be able to just voice how I feel, and just, you know, not to attack or to accuse or to
from a place of love.
Huh?
Place of love. From a place of love.
Yes. Well, it would. I don't know that it would be received as that, because a lot of people, and I've been challenged with this, especially if it's something I feel very strongly about, and I feel it's not a, you know, I'm a person that can admit when I'm wrong, or admit, hey, wait a minute, let me step back and have a look at myself. Maybe I was, you know, reacting rather than responding in any given situation. And in retrospect, I can see where maybe if I would have dealt with it a little differently, I would have gotten a different response from those I'm, you know, whatever the situation. But when it comes to family, and I'll say for myself, I can't, you know, I'm the youngest of 12 kids. And I was never really given the opportunity to speak about how I felt. I talked a lot, for sure. And I think that was challenging for a lot of people in my family, because I talked about things that they don't really understand or get or value. Like, it's conversation that's not important to them, although important to me, as they speak about things that I don't care to talk about, you know, that is not right. So I get that. So I stopped doing that, because there was a time when I felt very indignant and that I wanted to be heard, right? And they, you know, you're going to listen. I didn't say that, but because I felt shut down for so long. And then in relationships with men who didn't value what I had to say, you know, I could go on and on and on.
It's all connected.
I've done a lot of work on all of those things, and I'm not, you know, fully there, but I'm definitely not where but yeah, so communication, absolutely. I mean, well, we know that's how wars start, right? We're not communicating clear. I mean, even the etymology of words, we don't understand what we speak, because most of the words we use for one context mean a whole nother thing. If we were to really research where they come from, the etymology, the correct way to pronounce them, the tones, the sounds, all of that, that's a whole nother show. And it's bigger than I really, you know, I get somewhat, but.
Focused intent. So what I feel with that is, no matter which way it's taken, if you're focused with your intention and you're coming from a place of compassion and love, it's important for you to be able to feel when it's the right time and express from a place of love, whether it's taken that way or not. At least with your intention of love, it gives you that sense of release, and you can hold that space for the other to take it away and to reflect upon it, right? Because at the end of the day, it really is about us releasing it from a place of love and compassion. No matter how it's going to be received, the intent is there. The pure intent is there.
What does that look like? For the listener that's going to be listening to this, let's just do a little role playing, or we can just, what does that
Okay.
look like?
Well, I would say what that would look like is it would be a soft approach. It would be a softer, gentle approach. It would be more of a response reproach versus a reaction. So you're not expressing from a place of reaction. You're expressing from a place of, hey, this this really hurt me. I would just like to tell you, or like it's coming from a place of not you or blame, but versus what you feel on the inside. I mean, everybody's different, and everybody's going to take it different. Everybody has a different love language and also an understanding language. So this really does depend, but you can't focus on what other people's necessarily how they're going to take it. I'm just trying to find an example of what I can tell you. I would say tone, the tone you use, and your energy and your intent. Some will become in tune with you and they will feel the authenticity of your expression. If they're not ready to receive, then you will feel that block. And then it's according to your choice whether you choose to continue to express from a place of awareness and presence, just to be able to release that and let them take it with them to contemplate. It really does depend on how you're feeling. But what it would look like, I would say tone, body language, coming from a place of love versus, reaction and blame. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have done what you're referring to. And well, there's just a situation. I mean, this isn't about me, but I just know that if I want to push through and really go through this, create transformation in my life and use the energies that are here, to really step up in the way in which you're talking about integrity and honesty and that kind of thing, and really be an example of that by not just, walking my talk, being, right? Not just giving a bunch of lip service and not, like, people will never hear me say, oh, I'm this huge meditator and I sit and all day. I don't. But I do things that bring that peaceful, centered place for myself. And I do have moments of silence and stillness for sure. I mean, I probably would have lost my mind a long time ago if I didn't. And I have had moments of feeling like I was losing my mind.
We all have.
Yeah, I have my moments of stillness and silence, and I probably could, maybe discipline myself a bit more and do that more often and for longer periods of time. But cleaning, dancing, walking, singing, those things are forms of meditation for me, especially cleaning. When I clean, I don't think about nothing else but cleaning. And it gets me out of the chatter in my head, and helps me to ground and I used to see it as a way of wanting to clean, like control everything on the outside because I felt like I was a mess on the inside, where OCD may, be a thing. Not so much anymore now. I just, and I think nature walks and good music, or even taking 2 or 3 minutes just to drop down into my heart space and just say, okay, what is happening in this here and now? Am I, can't think about what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. Like right now, am I safe? Am I capable of using critical thought and thinking and communicating well? I am. Do I love and honor and respect myself enough to also offer that to another living being? Absolutely.
Beautiful.
It's so important.
Just so important.
Yes.
Connecting the mind
Do I
to
want
the
to be
heart.
known as being somebody, whether it's in my family, my coworkers, my community, my friends? Do I want to be, not that I look for people to see me a certain way, but if I want to engage from a heart-centered, connected space, is that what I want people to remember me by, right? As Maya Angelou says, you know, people may not remember what you said, but they will definitely remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
That's huge for me. That's a communication in itself.
Deep.
So I think about that and I consider, and that's where I don't know how to get over the sadness of, and not sadness, that I don't know if that's the right word, but the hump of saying, okay, just because okay, I offer this to you and I don't feel I received that back. How do I rectify this? How do I heal this? Because sometimes we just have to walk away. We can communicate how we feel a million times. And some people just don't value us enough to don't change for me. That's not what I'm asking for. Right? I'm not asking you to change for me. I'm asking you to maybe consider, you know, that this is the kind of engagement that I'm feeling, or this doesn't feel good and I'm not willing to do it anymore. And if I mean anything to you, don't change for me, but be considerate of how I feel when you behave this way to me. Consider that.
It's happening a lot right now, and you're bringing this up, and I'm telling you right now, collectively, many are feeling this way. I'm even going through it. I've had to let go of people that I really did truly care for very deeply, because they did not know, or they chose to not know or learn or become enlightened or aware of how to cherish and value another individual, to reciprocate. Because, you know, we're all here to learn, and we're all responsible to want to learn what is the right way of living whole and authentic, loving, pure, conscious lives. And to share that with others.
Yeah. So we start attracting our own tribe is what happens. And our families, friends, coworkers, whoever, not, you know, anybody that's in because I'm getting more comfortable with this, allowing people to fall away.
Yes.
Or me falling away.
Yes.
Right? And not holding on so tightly. Right?
Yeah.
Like friends, people that I've been associated with for God knows how long, and or I used to be associated with, that I don't care to, you know, I'm not putting any energy into the connection because there's nothing there for me. It's not that I don't like them or that they're right, wrong, good, bad, whatever. There's no judgment. It's just I want more people that are like-hearted, like-minded. This show is called Conscious Heart Solutions. Even doing shows about, you know, I shared this with you earlier, super soldiers. Okay, I know that I was using these projects and programs. I know that. Nobody can tell me I know that. Do I want to focus on that and try to figure out every battle I've had in the multidimensional part, you know, and who I was in, you know, in timeline 3 and year 2000, whatever? I mean, I'm being facetious. Like, I don't want to focus on that. I do want to focus on being the best I can be in this here and now moment. And if there is information from that aspect of my, I don't even want to use the word reality, but my beingness, because, right? if there's information I need to know, I trust I'll know it when I need to know it. It just, I blew my mind for years trying to understand everything from my awakening. Like, I was just diving down deep, dark holes of everything, my own self. I mean, there's so much darkness of my own darkness. That's why I'm so more super sensitive about walking in integrity and being honest and being kind, loving, and gentle, walking softly on the earth, you know, but also holding my sword up and saying, hey, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. It really is like we all come with shadows, right? Like facing our shadows, facing the things that no longer serve us, you know, certain behaviors, certain patterns, certain ways of thinking, right? That's what we call our shadows. And for the ones that may not be aware, right? That might be watching this video or going to be. And you know, really really just facing those things and wanting to learn and wanting to become better, because knowing better is doing better. And it really is just setting that intention of wanting to learn and at the end of the day, that's why we're really here, is learning as much as we can about life itself and what is the purpose of us being here and what's really the bigger picture, because surely it must be more than just 9 to 5 and paying the bills, right?
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
There's so much more to life than what meets the eye and that what we can see. And really, it's about connecting our mind to our hearts. And this Lionsgate portal, I truly feel, is an activation collectively for people getting to a certain place, and a certain point where they're going to be nudged, if not pushed, you know, to start connecting the two, because there's just been too much imbalance for too long. And now's the time on Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, where we really need to find that balance between the mind and the heart space.
So how does one do that, Claudia? How do you balance the heart and the mind? It definitely want to share some solutions for people.
Of course.
At least guide them in a direction that, yeah.
It's about following your bliss. It's about doing the things that lift up your spirits, lift up your heart, inspire you, focusing on those things, because that's where you will find the solutions to the things that are no longer serving you. So it's about following the things that make you happy, whether it's dancing, whether it's singing, whether it's joining a group, things that interest you. Your interests are part of your passions. They're part of your purpose. I always say, follow your passions. Think about what those are if you don't know. You know, what are you attracted to? Whether it's colors, whether it's things, whether it's flowers, whether it's pottery, whatever that might be. Start thinking, start feeling what is it that I'm desiring in my life? What is it that always made me happy? I don't know. Like, start thinking about these things if you don't know. And if you do know, start doing them. And one passion will lead to another passion. And that's just the way it works. And that's what I've experienced along my journey. And also the clients that I've helped, they've also experienced similar effects. Once you begin one process of following a passion, others open up. It's like other doors of opportunity almost, because you step through that first door. Yeah. So it really is about, right? It really is about stepping through the door. And then it becomes like an endless possibilities, because you open yourself up to the possibilities. And so that's how you start, by becoming open to the possibilities of life itself and love itself, and how you feel, and what are the different ways of you being able to inspire yourself, and hopefully eventually be of service to others and inspire others also to do, you know, similar things to help them along their journey, right? We're here to learn from each other. And in one way or another, we really are.
Of course we are. I absolutely agree with that. It's really, you know, I think it's just so important to find our own unique, authentic self, right? Like the
Yeah.
uniqueness within our own being. And I will tell you, I heard that from Seven Bomar. I don't know if people are familiar, but I listened to him for years. There's a lot of people I've listened to throughout the.
Oh, yes.
I quit because I just feel like I'm at a place of being able to really dive deep within my own being, and I kind of don't look for outside confirmation of that any longer, or checking to see if I'm doing it right. Like, and that's another thing I would like to say to people. There's no right or wrong way of spiritual development and growth, but I will say discipline is necessary.
Oh, yes.
Stillness is necessary. Silence is necessary if you really want to know yourself, right? Not all the programming and all the stuff that we were taught growing up and our religious beliefs and practices and this and that. And I'm not by no means here to be condescending towards religion, although I will tell people, go search up the word religion. It means to bind. And I often say, just in that simple gnosis, what does that mean? What wants to bind you? And then you can take it from there and decide for yourself. I definitely believe in a source of my soul, the source of my love, the source of which is all within me. It's not out there. Yeah. So, but back to, people have living a spiritual life and emotionally developing and growing requires a willingness to have a hard look at our own self and our shortcomings and our character defects. Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous talks about these things. I appreciate it. I learned a great deal. And there are some things that I still, find to be helpful in my daily life.
Absolutely.
But there's no, you can get with, people say, oh, well, I need a spiritual guru or master or somebody that, we can learn. Everybody, I will say this, that I always, I never want to get so that I'm, I master my own emotions, my own self, but I know that I don't know everything. And I know that I appreciate being humble and listening and being able to hear what's said in between the words, right? That moment in between the in-breath and the out-breath.
Yeah.
Well, it's this silence, this stillness, I don't even know what the word would be to use that. I'm sure somewhere out there's a word that would describe that, but it's in those moments, it's in the stillness. That's why I say there's, when people say, well, you got to do this, and this to live. No, everything is spirit. There's nothing that cannot be. You can call it God, spirit, whatever. There are higher levels of conscious awareness that we become where we're able to have experiences during, in our realities where maybe some may not have, I may be able to see something others aren't seeing or whatever, but we're all gifted spiritual beings. Nobody is,
we all have our
I will tell you, what I know is very little. I mean, you can have all the information out there. Yes, intellect is a great thing, but if you don't have experience of the thing and you're just reading in a book and you haven't, put it into an experiential happening, I don't know how to explain that or how to say that. If you're not having the experience of whatever it is you're talking about and you're just sounding good, and it'll be difficult to really, yeah. Go ahead, please, Claudia.
No, experience is what builds character.
Well, it's not just that it builds character. That's where wisdom is gained. You can't
Yes,
have wisdom on something that you can read a book all day long if you have not had the. Okay, let me just use this as an example. People say, okay, well, is there a God? They ask, okay, how do you know God exists? Well, have you had an experience? Have you self-actualized? Do you know who and what you are? Because that would be a foolish question if you, I mean, for somebody that hasn't self-actualized or hasn't had experiences to reflect back to them who and what they are, they wouldn't know that. They would say, how do you know God exists? I mean, if you watch a flower bloom, creation, nature is God to me, or source, or but so is the God, the conscious mind, the intellect. Like, I appreciate the masculine, the feminine, all of it.
Absolutely.
So my point is, there's nothing that isn't the isness of what it,
Yes.
There's nothing.
I wanted to touch on what you mentioned about emotional maturity, mastering our emotions. Yes, that's what this is all. Most of it is all about. Is about mastering our emotions and being able to regulate. Because from that place of mastering our emotions and being able to regulate, which means being the ability to being able to face our own pain.
Absolutely. But I think we go through different levels of it. Like, I definitely feel like I'm much more emotionally mature than I was, say, 10 years ago when I first had my awakening, or as a small child. I mean, part of that has to do with growing up and life experience and so forth. But, if you grew up in a traumatic home and you learned ways of dealing and coping with your emotional body in ways that were self-destructive and harmful, or even communicating through loud, raising our voice, or screaming or cussing or whatever it is, that's why it's so important what you said. Children do watch. They will mimic your behavior much quicker than listen to your words.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
So
that's it.
So if we don't catch that, meaning a person as you grow up, and it's about becoming self-aware that, hey, wait a minute, the way I've been handling my life is not very becoming of me, number one. Number two, I keep looping. Nothing's changing. Yeah. If we're waiting for them to change, I'll speak for myself. My family's not going to change. I have to change for myself. How I respond to whatever it is, and decide for myself, for my well-being, for my health, for my mental, what I'm willing to accept and what I'm not. And it's called boundaries. And it's not just with family, it's friends and everybody. Or, for that matter, me not crossing boundaries, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course. It goes both ways. Yes, yes.
But emotional maturity takes time to acquire.
Oh, yeah.
It's not something that happens overnight, and you're just, because I'm 53 years old as of yesterday, and there's still the little girl. Yes. Still the little girl in me that says, no, this doesn't feel good, and I want to go, we do inner child work, and that's a lifelong process. Like, you never arrive, people, but we can get to a place where we are dealing with our challenges in a much more spiritually, emotionally, mentally mature place, where we're able to cope in a way, and be more consistent, a healthy way, and be consistent with it, where that becomes a new way of life rather than the old behaviors. and responding,
Exactly.
reacting, all of that.
Exactly. And that's what I promote. And that's what I promote with
So
my
yeah,
emotional
so
healing.
it's 8:04. So we agreed that we would go 90 minutes, and I would love to have you back for sure, Claudia, because we can talk all day. But
I
let's
know, right?
be quiet and let you share with the audience, okay, about your services and what you are specialize in, and
Mm.
some of the maybe share a brief success story that you've had with one of your clients. You don't have to give a name, of course not. We will keep people's names anonymous and for their privacy,
Oh,
but
yeah.
maybe share with the audience some successes that you feel, you know, I feel like I've accomplished something by being able to help this person, and now they're doing amazing things. Like what?
Right. Yes, yes, yes. So naturally, as a child, I was very intuitive, and along my journey, the different experiences that I've experienced, and the awakening and becoming more aware, and all those fun stuff. I was always very passionate and interested in being of service to others. As a child, I wanted to be a psychologist, a marriage counselor, anything to help others. That's all I
Yes,
knew.
that's lovely.
Yeah. So nonetheless, emotional healer, I'm also known as emotional healer Claudia. So I do have a Facebook page as well. It's exactly that, emotional healer Claudia, and I also do have an Instagram if you'd like to follow me. Uh, my specialty is in love coaching. So I have this intuitive knowing, inner knowing, but I've also have the background of I would say about a decade after my daughter was born, I really started looking into and researching what pure, true love and life, and what does that look like? What does that consist of? The foundation and the basis of healthy living and conscious love, not
Mm-hmm.
only in our relationship dynamics, but in every aspect of our lives. So I have a good decade under my belt that I used as because I was going through a lot throughout this past decade in my life, and I used a healthy coping mechanism of researching about the things that I was designed to know about, which was life itself. And why are we really here? What is the bigger picture or the purpose? Because I felt like there was more to life than just what I grew up in believing. So that's really how, this all kind of played out and just kind of was born and created. Emotional healer was created out of a lot of struggle and suffering and pain and facing those things and transmuting it and becoming, alchemizing my
That's
pain
right.
and
Alchemy, you said it, alchemy, and you really can't teach anything you haven't experienced yourself. If you call yourself a healer, well, you have to go through some things and heal
oh
yourself,
yes,
or you can offer healing to. And really, we don't heal anybody. We help them
assist,
heal themselves.
heal themselves.
Right.
Exactly. So um, this was, like I said, this was a few years ago that I said, okay, well, how am I going to express what it is that I want to inspire? And that was what I kind of received as what I would say. I don't know how I don't like labels, but sometimes putting a label to something gives us a better understanding or idea of what that might be, right? So things can change with regards to that aspect, but just really being that guidance and learning the alchemy behind emotional suffering and how to transmute that and learning to do it for myself and assisting others to help themselves heal by using certain tools. And this is something that we can definitely maybe create another live about the tools that we can use to help transmute and alchemize certain aspects of our pain.
I would love to
And
have you back for that, for sure.
yes,
I'm
yes,
really
definitely.
I'm really gonna get to a point where I'm gonna be shifting my focus away from some of the other topics that I've had and move more into what I really want to do, which is conscious heart solutions. And
Amazing.
yeah, so yeah,
Amazing.
I would love to have you come back. And
Yes, be able to provide people with the necessary tools, to take that can help them so they can implement it in their lives, in
So
their
is that
daily
what you
lives,
do?
right?
You meet with a client and you go over, you write up maybe a plan for them to start
Yes, yeah.
initiating?
So, so like I'm a certified Reiki practitioner as well. I'm a certified angel oracle reader as well. So, and I also do love and life coaching. So it just really depends. And I also have a crystal therapy bed to help people with aligning their mind, body, and spirit, their chakra system,
That's
right?
fabulous. I
So
love that. Yes,
yeah,
Claudia.
so you guys, so you guys can check out my Facebook page. Also have a website, but right now I'm having some issues with the website. It's down and it's under construction. So, but nonetheless, it's emotional healer Claudia with a K.com. I'm not sure when it's going to be up, but it's in the works. Nonetheless, emotional healers page. There's reviews that you can check out as well with, different clients that I did assist with different circumstances, and you can look it up there and check it out. And like I said, on Instagram as well. My Instagram is more focused on inspiring and promoting conscious love, because it really is about the loves. It's about the loves and the feels,
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, check me out. And
Love feels good. It doesn't mean, I think that there's this, and even I've been challenged with this, like the love light community. No, everything's not love and light, but we can get to a place
no,
where we have more experiences of what feels good to us, what does feel loving and super,
and
blissful.
educating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And educating people on the existence of agape love, which is like the godly love, like it exists, the pure love between people, and intimate relationships too, right? We've lost them. Many has lost the meaning behind what true pure love really looks like in our everyday lives. And like many people are like, does this even exist anymore? Is it just fantasies and in the movies? No, like true love, pure love really does exist.
Absolutely, it does. Well, okay, so you said agape love, which I think I went to a spiritual retreat probably, I don't know, 25 years ago, maybe. I don't know how long, maybe 20 years ago. It was a long time ago. And early 2000, I think it was. And I remember it was the first time I ever heard of agape love. And we did a ritual where we would wash each other's feet and, yes, like, humbling ourselves and washing the feet of our sister and sharing
Beautiful.
love and that pureness and that, yeah. And it's interesting because I do foot detoxes now and I touch people's feet and I send energy through my hands.
Yeah.
To help them in healing. I don't necessarily always share that with them because some people just they're not there yet. They're still very much.
Hey, and that's okay. And that's okay. Like everyone's at a different level of their journey, and we really are here to bring each other home, and in the sense of inspiring each other, to become the best version of themselves.
Yeah. Oh, Claudia, I'm so thankful to have. I know we both had a lot to say, and I hope that the listeners, whoever decides to watch this video, gets, knows that you're. It's so important that people know that you're loved and supported, and that there are people like Claudia, like myself, and many others that are here to support and help and uplift and guide you, and really just guide you back to yourself and tell you you can and you will heal. And it's just a decision. You have to make a decision to say, I honor and love myself more today than I did yesterday, right? And I'm going to take one small step towards healing myself today. If that means drinking a gallon of water, going for a walk around the block, contact Claudia to set up a
drink lots of fluid.
Yes. Whatever it is that feels good to you that you're doing, you're saying, okay, I'm doing something healthy and inspiring for myself so that I can you know, because when we feel good and we're doing things, exercise, I just start,
Yeah.
I quit smoking cigarettes in March and I gained some weight back, and I'm now going to the gym again. And I'm not perfect in that, but I make efforts to get moving. And I went dancing for my birthday last night, and I haven't danced in, God, I don't even know how long. It's been years because I've given up the nightclub scene. I mean, my life is, you know, I'm very pleased that I have let go of a lot of things, but, you know, every once in a while, going out and having some fun.
Absolutely. 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 And so we should. There's no judgment here. Whatever feels right at the moment, and it feels right and you're aware, absolutely do it, because you never know who you might meet, and your light might be needed there at that time,
That's
right?
true. I agree. I actually met some pretty amazing people last night. Like, you know, it just reminded me of, I kind of did a scan because I can do that of my surroundings. And I could feel into some things now. I said, okay, Ida, you're not here for that. So shut it down and enjoy yourself.
Right.
Don't
Enjoy
stop,
yourself.
you know,
Yes.
trying to, but anyways, long story short, yeah, I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed seeing people dressed up. Again, you know, I like to get dressed and just
Yes.
having a good time. They were sauce, you know, doing the salsa on one side and R&B on the other. It
Nice.
was kind of, yeah, I really did have a lot of fun. Although I was home by 11 o'clock, you know, it wasn't a late night thing for me, but I did enjoy myself. And so it's important that we do those things. It's important that we have connection. It's important that we know that we have support, and especially for women. I'm all about supporting my women. Or my sisters. I'm all about uplifting and holding you up in your divinity. I want you to know that you're loved, you're honored, you're respected, and we can do this together. You know, there's no one needs to do this by them, you know, on their own.
Yes. And
There are
there's so much more
moments we need,
information available.
I'm sorry?
There's so much more information available now than probably what you and I had when we were starting to
Oh, no, there's, right. Well, there were people
Right?
before us that kind of gave us, and now we're here to do our part and to, yeah. Claudia, I appreciate you so much. I'm not going to keep you much longer. What we will do, I'm going to ask you if you don't mind to send me, so I have your email. People could contact you through your email. Is that okay? Or do you feel comfortable
Yes.
there? You prefer them to reach out to you on Facebook? Like,
Yeah,
go to Claudia's Facebook, Claudia
It's emotional healer Claudia with a K. That's the Facebook page for my healing.
Yes, coaching. And I'll make sure that it's in the comment section.
Perfect.
This has been a fabulous discussion.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. And we will do this again. Maybe so in September we can come up with a date, and that'll give you more time, because I know this was the last minute thing. If you want to put some content together or something you want to share, I would be more than honored to have you on again. And, you know, and I could do some myself. I'm not, you know, I don't prepare very well for my shows, because I kind of like to just, I like to just be, you know, kind of spontaneous with things. Although I do know that people do prefer a little bit more of a structured, this is more laid back, you know, spontaneous connections and speaking from our heart and really, So I will make sure all your information is put in the contact section under the video. We'll get this uploaded. It's 8:18, by the way. So we love on my clock here. Well, this one says 8:22. Well, that needs to be reset, but that's okay.
At least we noticed it.
Yeah, we got, and we'll have you back on in September.
Awesome.
Go to Facebook, Claudia Lakhotis. Say it again.
Yeah, emotional healer Claudia as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Emotional healer Claudia, and
reach out
as well.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Great. I appreciate you, sister. Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Okay. So we
Talk
are
soon.
going to